I always knew that depression ran in my family, especially in the women in my family. I never really thought that it affected me, but looking back I can see that a lot of the struggles that I had as a teenager and as a young adult were definitely struggles with depression. But when I was a young woman, I had just gotten married, moved to a new city, started a career, we bought a new house. All these really exciting things that the world said were going to make me happy and that I really believed would be happy for me suddenly weren't making me happy. And I found myself in a place where I didn't just want out of my job or out of my marriage, but I wanted out of my life. There's one day that sticks out to me and was forever etched in my memory. I remember laying in bed and Michael had gone to work and I couldn't drag myself out of bed to go to work. And I called in to work for the third day in a row. And as I laid there, I didn't want to do it anymore. I wasn't just sad, I wanted out of everything. I wanted out of my life. And I remember looking in to the bathroom from my bed and thinking about the details of how I might end my life. I'm so thankful that in that moment, God spoke to me and He moved me. Even though I was running from Him at the time, He intervened in my life and He alerted me to the awareness of the situation that I was in, of the desperation that I was in. And I got up and I looked online and I called just a random crisis counseling hotline that I found, which is amazing because I don't even like to call and order pizza. It's amazing to me today, even now that I made that phone call. But I got in my car and I drove to that counseling center and I spent probably a few hours there talking with a wonderful counselor that encouraged me and just gave me hope. I remember leaving there with a plan. I had a plan to see a doctor and get back on some depression medication. I had a plan to go see a counselor and, I felt just a little bit less desperate in that moment. But on the way home, I remembered that this church that we had visited a couple times had a Tuesday night service. And I'd never been to their Tuesday night service, but it was a Tuesday. And I was just drawn to drive straight to the church. And I just waited for the service to start. And I sat in the back row of this 2,000 seat auditorium, hoping no one would even see me. And I cried through the entire thing. But I felt like the message was exactly for me, like God had orchestrated every bit of the service just for me. The message was about God being with you through the storms of life. And I remember crying and crying through the whole message and through this song that we sang about praising God through the storm. And I just remember leaving there that night for the first time in a long time with a sense of hope that life could be different. That night when I went home, I cried out to God like I never had before. And He met me there in my living room, and He met me there in that church, and He showed me that He had never left me and that He had a way for me to get out of the mess that I was in, and that my way was just not working, and that His way was better. And it's been many years since that day, and I'm so grateful for the things that He used in my life to bring me to healing. He used medication, He used professionals, He used His presence to bring me to a place where I could be whole and live a full life. Jesus has filled the gaps in my heart. He showed me that I can't look to another person to fulfill the needs that I have, and the love that I desire can only come from Him. And so now, it's not to say that I never get sad or down or start to feel myself slipping a little bit, but now I recognize those things and I know what to do. I know when life starts to feel overwhelming, I know to dig deeper into God. This hasn't been an easy journey. There's been difficulty in a lot of ways, and life has changed a lot since then. And there's times when I feel myself maybe slipping into a little bit of a funk, but now I have tools to recognize it, and I know what to do when it starts to happen. I know that my help comes from the Lord, and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for the life that I have in Him, and I know that He can fill every void in our lives. He can fill every need that we have, and that we can move from desperate to hopeful, because I did. And I've walked it, and I know that in Him is hope.